Hi there, everyone, and happy full moon in Cancer. We are in the astrological month of Capricorn, but the full moon that is happening tonight and yesterday as well in some parts of the world, we are really looking at Capricorn and Cancer for the workshop and the energy activation that we're going to be doing together tonight. Because where the full moon is actually sitting as it travels across the skies tonight and yesterday is in that zodiac sign of Cancer. They're sort of traveling across the backdrop of our sky from our point of view. If we were looking at them and tracing the path of the moon, the astrological zodiac sign of Cancer basically appears to be sitting behind the moon as it travels. So it's actually us traveling, but that's about the easiest way to understand it. I've been working with energy activation sessions and bringing them together with intuitive practices for over 20 years now. What I do with energy work and intuitive work stems from an over 20-year background in yoga, and specifically Kundalini and Iyengar yogas. For those of you who know the yoga world, that is probably already apparent to you, but for those of you who aren't familiar with those schools, essentially how I like to think of Kundalini yoga when I'm explaining it to people and how it differs from other schools of yoga is Kundalini yoga isn't really bendy, stretchy yoga. Kundalini yoga is more concerned with repetitive motions that are basically designed to stimulate different parts of your energy body, so that you have energy flow in that subtle energy body sense, the same energy that the ancient Chinese called qi, and forms of martial art like Aikido, Ki and Chi are very similarly related words, meaning life force, meaning subtle body energy. In the ancient Vedic texts of India, including the teachings of Ayurveda, which is the science of healing that's very closely related to yoga, stemming from ancient India, we see Chi referred to as prana. Meaning essentially the same thing. Ancient Hawaiians called it Maya. Whatever you like to call that life force energy, it isn't really the only subtle energy that exists. It turns out that plants and animals and trees and even rocks have energy fields, and we can measure and have a look at these energy fields and how they impact our own energetic experiences down here in human life in different ways. The Sacred Year course is a course that I've designed to look at all of that and basically focus on connecting and activating different fields and vibrations of energy in your own subtle energy body system, and really empowering those activations by lining them up, if you like, with the most powerful energies that are out there to connect to beyond us. So the full moon in Cancer that we see tonight, and I've promised everyone who signed up for this workshop that this workshop is actually going to be one that you can do for the duration of the period of time between now and the end of the zodiac month of Capricorn, which is actually right around January 20th or so. We're going to be stringing together a few different activations to really work with this last period of Capricorn, starting with the full moon in Cancer, and then moving through some other energy activations that are really going to be good ones to do throughout the remaining part of January here. So that's kind of what we have on our plates tonight. I'm going to go ahead and also just go over kind of the whole schedule of what we're doing together this evening. It's going to be a relatively short workshop. Some of my lectures and workshops go upwards of 2 hours, but most people on short notice are going to be appreciating this week, and I wanted to make this workshop significantly shorter than that. So here's kind of the rundown of what we're going to be doing in today's workshop. We're going to be doing the full moon energy activation session, which is going to basically entail looking at some mudras together. And let me see if I can bring up part of this activation that I'm going to be doing with you tonight on the screen so that you can actually see that. Here we go. So here's one of the pieces of the activation that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing an activation that relates to this very specific card in the tarot. This card is called the Four of Pentacles. It's one of 78 cards in the tarot. And funnily enough, the tarot has such a beautiful, long, and very mysterious history. We don't know the tarot's whole story, but many tarot scholars have connected the tarot's messages and lessons to specific periods of the calendar year, specific periods of that energetic sacred year that we're looking at with my sacred year students and my mastery circle this year. The Four of Pentacles is the tarot card that relates and correlates, and a few tarot scholars talk about this for different reasons being so, to the period of time between January 9th and 20th, technically. And you can reference, my favorite reference for that is Mary Greer, and she has an amazing classic tarot text called Tarot for Yourself, where she's got a wonderful table that outlines the different correspondences of different parts of the calendar year to different tarot cards. Interestingly enough, we can connect the energetics of the experience being relayed and taught about in these tarot card lessons to the energy work of the Vedic sciences, the energy body sciences of yoga and qigong and all of those energy arts that we were just talking about. The tarot is basically a Western interpretation of an experience that I've discovered and a number of other energy workers have discovered. You can relate directly to experiences, and you can go the other way with them, as well as just describing the experience you're having. It is entirely possible to work with your energy body in such a way that you can create a vibrational experience. And that's a really important thing to understand, that you can actually create a vibrational experience. I'm going to switch to another slide here to show you the other two activations that we're going to be doing here today. Here's the Capricorn activation centered around a major arcana card in the tarot called the Devil. Now that's the traditional name for the card. This isn't devil worship. It's nothing to do with that at all. All of the scary, scary stories that you've heard about the tarot are not true. What this one card out of 78 cards is portraying is a lesson for humankind to learn. And one of the best metaphors for that lesson that Western humanity seems to have come up with is that of the biblical devil. This character who embodies darkness for us, and temptation and addiction, and sort of a dark control of the human. And those things that have that darker control over us are those things that we can grow to manage and outgrow and move away from, and organize our lives in such a way that they're not going to impact us in the future. This is the work of the zodiac month of Capricorn. And various tarot scholars and astrology scholars have related the month of Capricorn directly to this specific card of the tarot. So what you're seeing in these little activation slides that I'm showing you, that I'll be putting these slides on the screen again, just so if any of you are realizing there's sort of a lot of information in my workshops and you want to grab a pen and paper and you haven't done already, yep, good time to do that. You'll be seeing these slides again when we actually do the session here in a minute. And what is really possible with all of these that I've put together on these slides is essentially images of the cards that will generally talk about the lessons and the energetics of those lessons today. Very briefly, we're only looking at 3 lessons out of 78. And I'll also chat a bit about the activation itself and forming the little hand and finger shapes that are called mudras that you'll see on the screen. I'll be walking you through all of that as well. The other thing that you see on this screen are a 1 or 2, depending on major or minor arcana significances of the tarot cards. You don't have to worry about that. There's either going to be 1 or 2 affirmations written out with quotation marks around them, and I'll be reading those off to you while you do the energy work exercise that I'll be guiding you through. And in this way, we're going to shift your vibration, your subtle body vibration. Now, at the very end of the workshop, something different is going to happen. We're also going to be doing an activation for the zodiac sign of Cancer, which is the sign that the moon is actually traveling within tonight while the planets travel around the month of Capricorn. I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. And what we're going to be doing after that is we're going to be looking at a tarot card reading that I've prepared for you today. And the tarot card reading that I've prepared for you, and I'll walk you through doing with a diagram, and I'll show you this photograph later on, it is basically a reading that I think is a really good one to do to sort of have a look at the year ahead of you. And we'll look at the year ahead of you. We'll look at 2017 as a year, and we're going to look a little bit, if we have time, about the special numbers that correspond to 2017 and energetically what those numbers stand for. Tarot also includes its own special sort of brand of study of numerology, as well as astrology. So as you can see, for many reasons, the tarot for me has always been a fascinating study, but it's one that is really useful when you're putting together, rituals and practices to lead people through that can really connect them to the energetic experience of the time that they're living through. So my full Sacred Year students probably already realize this, but just for the rest of you who are listening in on this workshop, basically if you decide at the end of this workshop that you would like to do this sort of work, energy activation specifically tailored to the time of year that you're traveling through, and develop that energetic component of yourself, it can be an amazing way to very powerfully awaken your intuitive senses. So at the very, very, very end of today, I will be having a look at that full Sacred Year program, which is part and parcel of an intuition mastery circle that I run. So I'm going to show you how to enroll in the Mastery Circle so that you can join the Sacred Year course with the other Mastery students. I sort of put everyone through that process so that everyone has what they need and they're all prepared for the courses. So I'm going to show you a neat little course enrollment package right at the end. Okay, so for now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through the energy activation session for the month of Capricorn. So this is an energy activation that you can do for this entire month period if you want. So first of all, the activation that you see on the screen, the mudra that you see, let's go ahead and make sure that everyone can form that mudra. Before we form the mudra, make sure that however you are sitting, you can claim to have a straight spine to the best of your ability. For those of you who are able and are comfortable sitting cross-legged with a straight spine, without your knees or your hips or anything being too much trouble, you can certainly sit cross-legged. That would be the absolute ideal seated position. But you could also kneel, you could sit in a chair, you could stand. You could lie down flat on your back if you would like as well, although that would be a tricky-ish position to keep referring to the screen on. So, sort that out for yourself, but straight spine. And what I want you to envision is that your sit bones and those areas of your body that are making contact with the surface below you are really feeling that connection, are really allowing themselves to relax and sort of melt towards that surface, to feel the support of that surface under your seat. If you are sitting on a chair, have both of your legs uncrossed and, if you can, soles of your feet flat on the floor. If you need to make some adjustments to keep a straight spine while you're in this, very grounded sort of position, go ahead and do those now. And when you are ready, we are going to form the mudra shape that you see by, first of all, reach out all of your fingers and thumbs while you're connecting just the base point of your wrist, like you can probably make out in the picture. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to keep your thumb and your index fingers stretched out and then bend your middle fingers in so that the top knuckles touch, facing in towards each other. And the other fingers are all reaching out. This activation empowers us vibrationally to take control of any areas of our life that vibrationally give us the experience of chaos and being out of control. And those experiences are the ones that you see people really looking at, even if you look at popular culture in the month of Capricorn. We go from Christmas, which is all about getting and receiving material gifts in a lot of cultures, and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and festivals that are festivals of light and gift giving. And that aspect of it draws us into the material realm, the realm of earth. Capricorn is an earth sign. And when we're focusing on this material part of our world, we have an experience of really learning how these material parts of our world are functioning for us. We might find some things that we want to change. We might find some things that we want to order, and lo and behold, right after all of those festivities get done, every single year, what do we see in January? Get organized, get in shape, all of these things that humanity decides they'd like to do, generally in the form of New Year's resolutions and new gym memberships and getting your taxes done. Things like that, all very Capricorn-esque activities vibrationally. Okay, so staying with this mudra now in front of your heart, shoulders relaxed, spine tall, relaxed face. If you want to gently close your eyes, I will read the affirmations for the month of Capricorn. This month, I will focus on the foundation of what makes life work well for me. The structure of my life is built on a firm foundation. I acknowledge my weaknesses and those parts of myself which are difficult for me to accept. I am more powerful than my situation suggests. I'm going to say those affirmations one more time through for you guys, and then just know that I'll go ahead and make sure that you guys have access to this screen to write these affirmations down a little later on as well. We'll make sure you have a copy of this. So don't worry about breaking the mudra to take notes right now. This month, I will focus on the foundation of what makes life work well for me. The structure of my life is built on a firm foundation. I acknowledge my weaknesses and those parts of myself which are difficult for me to accept. I am more powerful than my situation suggests. Okay, and when you're ready, go ahead and release the mudra shape down in your lap. Let your wrists hang off the end of your knees if you can, so that they sort of rest and go limp. Relax your shoulders. Sense the energy that you feel. If you feel any different vibrationally from when we started that activation. The next energy activation we're going to be doing is for the period of time here that the moon is going to be going through the zodiac sign of Cancer. So what I'm going to be putting on the screen for you next is the activation for that zodiac sign. So let's go ahead and find that. Here we go. I'll enlarge this for you. Here we are. Okay, so the Cancer activation is related to a Tarot Major Arcana card, which is off the top of the screen here for some reason, called the Chariot. And the Chariot is all about moving things from your vision into reality. The Chariot is about manifesting, taking all of that foundational stuff that you've been working on, getting together, and acting with that. That's what the Chariot's all about. So here's the other activations here that we have. Is actually a series of mudras that what I would like you to do is shift from one to the other, and I'll direct between them. The first one I'm going to direct you on is the mudra for joy and positive expectancy, because what I'm finding is that without this, people really don't move things into manifestation. If something feels like it's not going to be joyful, if they don't have positive expectancy for the work ahead of them, what they're going to do is they're going to procrastinate. So we want to counter that and get into the vibration that is relatable to that energy of Cancer and the Chariot. This is really what we need to do. And Cancer is also about not going too fast, going at the pace that will give you victory in what you choose to take on. So the mudra for joy and expectancy looks a little more complicated than it is. The easiest way to form this mudra is to just simply tuck your middle fingers of both hands underneath, on top of your index fingers. So in other words, the index finger lies on top of the middle finger and kind of keeps that middle finger in place, and then you press with the index finger on top of the middle finger down onto the pad of the thumb. The other two fingers are simply outstretched. So that's what's going on with that mudra. You're going to form this mudra for the first part of this activation. We'll say the affirmations through. I'm going to adjust and just say this full moon instead of this month on that one affirmation. We'll say those both through, and then we will take this mudra and we'll move to Dhyan mudra, which you see on the bottom there, and then we'll do them a third time round with the mudra for effective action that you see on the very bottom. Okay, so first mudra shape, you can hold this mudra down in your lap but palms facing up, please. I focus and move forward towards my success. This full moon, I will focus on my sense of security and family and my sense of privacy. I love being surrounded by my true family. Okay, release this mudra and form Dhyan mudra, which is basically the pads of the index finger and the thumb coming together and the other three fingers connected side by side, stretched out, and then both palms brought together to form sort of a receiving gesture. Hold this shape with the palms facing up in front of your solar plexus area, which is the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your belly. I focus and move forward towards my success. This full moon, I will focus on my sense of security and family and my sense of privacy. I love being surrounded by my true family. Okay, and then finally the mudra for effective action. Tuck the ring finger under and hold it in place with your thumb crossed over the ring finger. The other three fingers are stretched out, and now I want you to move this shape up overhead, palms facing forward, arms outstretched above you, about shoulder distance apart. Powerful inhales and exhales, one more time through with the affirmations. I focus and move forward towards my success. This full moon, I will focus on my sense of security and family and my sense of privacy. I love being surrounded by my true family. Okay, I'm releasing these shapes and mudras in your arms, down in your lap. I'm now going to move to the final piece of the activation, back to that Four of Pentacles card that we had to look at earlier, and I explained was very related to the period of the year that we are traveling through now, from January 9th to 20th or so. Four of Pentacles, the mudra I want you to form here is basically your thumbs are tucked underneath the index and the middle fingers that are kind of holding the thumb in place by folding down. The ring fingers are connected and facing up, and you can probably see there in the distance in the image, the pinky fingers are also connected that way. Hold this shape in front of your chest and heart, still with relaxed shoulders. And make sure you have space around your throat and your neck, and you're very upright and secure feeling. Even inhales and exhales, we're going to just say this final affirmation in our activation twice through. I use my resources wisely and feel stable. I give thanks for the blessings of my material life. I use my resources wisely and I feel stable. I give thanks for the blessings of my material life. Okay, and release that mudra down onto the ground, onto your lap, wherever you want to just hang out and rest for a moment. Close your eyes and think about all of the vibrations that you now have available to you to make this time of year organizing your material resources, getting your foundation in shape, and moving some of your visions into physical manifestation. All of that is really what is powerfully with us in this full moon period. And all of that right now, vibrationally, you are already connected enough to that if you wanted to take the work that we've done here a step further and do an intuitive reading, that's what I'll be guiding my full Sacred Year students through as part of my Intuition Mastery Circle. One of the readings that I'll be doing a further workshop on to explore in greater detail is the reading that I'll go ahead and put on the screen for you guys now. And this is an annual reading. It's kind of an annual overview reading. I'm also teaching and giving my Sacred Year and Mastery students a full zodiac reading, which is another annual reading to predict a full year of goings on in terms of tarot card readings. This is more of an overview reading. And I'm going to close today's lecture just giving you a description of each of the cards in this reading. If you're ready to do intuitive readings as an end part of your energy practices, this is a great one to learn to do for this time of year. Essentially, we go from a row of just one card at the very bottom of this reading all the way to the top row here, which is 5 cards. And with each of these rows, we explore a different dimension of the year, a different way of looking at the year. Starting at the bottom, the one card at the bottom, you draw this randomly from a shuffled deck of tarot cards. If you want to work with the tarot, it's my favorite oracle device, but there are also other oracle decks that you could do this with. You could also cast runes. Although I think you might have to use a couple of different sets. Tarot is my favorite vehicle for doing intuitive readings. So the one card on the very bottom is sort of a central focus card. It's meant as a card to sum up the general energies of the entire year's worth of lessons and experiences for the querent, and the querent is what we call the person who is getting the reading done for them. So if you're a reader and you have someone else that you're reading for, they're the querent. My favorite thing to do when I teach my intuition mastery students how to develop an intuitive practice is to teach them how their own private practice, their own private intuitive work, is really the work they need to be doing every day. And if that's the case, then you are the querent. So this is the card that sums up the general energies of your entire year. And we'll chat a little bit about how to interpret that card with our mastery students in greater detail. Now, the second row here represents yin and yang, or yin and yang, as some people like to pronounce, aspects of the world and aspects of your experience this year. The yin aspects are feminine aspects, energetically speaking. We all have feminine and masculine, yin and yang energetic experiences of the year. The yin experiences are those of your inner focuses, your inwardly directed self-development, personal work. The yang experiences of the year are the extroverted experiences of the year, the experiences where energetically we are moving out, reaching out beyond our own personal boundaries and into, you know, a space beyond us that involves our community, how we're reaching out to the wider community of people and experiences beyond us. That's all described in that yang experience card. So you've got two cards there that describe the yin aspects and the yang aspects of your year. The next row up here is a set of 3 cards, and this is a perspective that takes us beyond 2017 to the past year, 2016, on the left-hand side, the current year of 2017 in relation to the past and future years, and of course, as you've probably already guessed, that's the future year described in card 3 of that row of 3. Okay, the row of 4 above that. This is a row where you can get an idea about the different time periods in the year itself. So spring, summer, autumn, and winter are described as the 4 cards there. The 5 cards on the top, the 4 most influential people, important people in some sense, to the querent, and how they're going to be doing with those 4 important relationships this year. And then the very central card of those 5 represents the querent and how they're really going to be functioning in relation to others. So the 5 cards on top are cards that describe relationships with people. So it's a neat reading to do for getting a really in-depth look at the year before you. And the first full moon period of the new calendar year, 2017, is just a great time to do those annual overview sort of readings. So the final thing that I wanted to just sum up really quickly here before we went and had a look at the Mastery Circle and the intuition and tarot related courses, including the Sacred Year, that some of you may be interested in joining. What I just want to end on here is a little bit of a look at the numerology of 2017 and how we interpret that numerology as tarot scholars. So each numbered year, 2017, 2016, so on and so forth, has 4 numbers, 2016, 2017. What we do to get the number of that year in terms of how we can study that year energetically with the archetypes of the tarot and astrology and create meaning for what that year is going to be all about is we add up those 4 numbers. So what we do to get the number for 2016, which is the year we just left, that many people noted, we had a lot of deaths, and it seemed to be pretty full of disasters for a lot of people on a global scale. Let's see if we can figure out why that might be numerologically. That's a difficult word to say fast, isn't it? 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6 is the sum we're essentially doing here. So that gives you 9, right? If you add all of those numbers up and you cross sum them down, I'll write the sum on the screen here so that all of us can relate it, we get the number 9 out of that. Now the number 9 corresponds to archetype 9 of the major arcana, which are a special set of cards within the tarot called the Hermit. And the Hermit's lesson for us is a lesson of really going within for our own wisdom and our own guidance. And the Hermit gives us the vibrational opportunity to check in with ourselves very frequently when the outer world feels chaotic or feels like, you know, maybe we need to make some changes in the outer world. We have to check in with the inner world to get that inspiration from the right place. And that was really kind of the lesson that was available in 2016 globally. In 2017, what we're going to experience if we cross sum the digits in 2017 is a 10. The 10 corresponds to the energies of completion and the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. The Wheel of Fortune energy is all about seeing the big picture, seeing the big picture of the world that you're going to have to come out of some sort of retreat and rejoin. So that's sort of globally, energetically what's happening. It's like we've shifted up all of the pieces of how people interact in a global sense. And we've had some time to really check in and set our course for what's happening next. Now we get sort of the big picture reveal where everything might start making a lot more sense this year. You might start seeing things in a clearer, larger perspective. And in this place, you know, emotions and all of the things that may have been bothersome in previous parts of your life are going to also feel disconnected in a good way, feel disconnected in a way that we can relate to the principles of non-attachment. So we're going to get a lot of clarity emotionally along with this big picture perspective that 27 promises us in terms of the numerology of the year. So this is obviously a very fascinating study. There are ways to do cross sums for your own personal destiny cards. There are ways to do cross sums and study the tarot of your year's numbers added together with your personal numbers, and get an idea of what your personal experience this year is going to be. I do all of that work for my mastery students in their first enrollment benefit, which is available to those of you who want to come on board if you decide to join the Intuition Mastery Circle and the Sacred Year course this year. I'm giving all of the enrollments that come into our program a special deal. I'm going to go ahead and expand this slide to show you what we have for you here. And that special deal is on a 90-minute VIP consultation with me. And we can basically get on a Skype call to make that happen. This is a private reading, one-on-one. We can do this via phone. We can do this via webinar software if Skype or phone don't work. If nothing works, we can do this via writing, and I'll create a video of the reading to get it back to you. But this is a personal reading just for you, 90 minutes in length, where I'm going to do a lot of these number cross sums and giving you your birth cards and destiny cards and information about your year. And then we're going to go ahead and do an annual reading together. I know on the screen it says annual zodiac reading here, but you can also choose between the zodiac reading and the reading I just showed you, the annual overview reading, if you'd rather me do one of those. I'll show you both. You can decide. And then you also get a choice of an additional reading in that 90 minutes, and I'll explain both of those readings to you. You'll see they're called the Celtic Cross reading and the 7 chakra reading here on the screen. And you'll get to choose one of those too. So you get 2 readings in a 90-minute period of time. I've got 75 minutes written on this screen here. I used to do 75-minute consults, but I'm finding more and more that they naturally seem to want to go to about 90 minutes. And I kept going over all the time with my clients and giving them 90 minutes. So I changed that up. You're probably going to end up with more like 90 minutes out of this reading. The Tarot Mastery Circle includes weekly workshops, video workshops like this, but also a second workshop for my mastery students alone, where they actually get their cards interpreted by me as they go through the year. That is possible every single week. As you might have seen in this workshop, we kind of left off with an annual overview reading. My Mastery Circle students who are enrolled in the Sacred Year course is one of the courses that they're getting this year with their membership. I'll show you the other ones that you get in a minute too. My Mastery Circle students, they get to do those readings. They have the readings explained to them, and they have the energy activations. But then they get to show me what their reading results are. They get to share their readings with me in a private group that we have. And then every week there's a second workshop for the Mastery Circle students, for those who submitted their reading results. What they get to do every single week is get my eyes on that, get my interpretation of that reading. Ask me questions. So they get to grow as readers in this way. The other thing that this includes is 3 full courses. Not only do you get the Sacred Year course here, but you get another course called the Chakra Intuition System, which looks at your body's energetics and gives nearly 80 pages of specific readings that you can do to find out more about how your experience of different vibrations is panning out for you in your life. I call these 70 or 80 or so vibrations that are usually very active in one way or another, either positively or negatively in a human. I call them the key vibrations. These vibrations are sort of set points vibrationally in your energy body that relate to your experience, your experiences in life. And so the chakra intuition system, we get to look at your life through the lens of your energy body, your chakra system, and the key vibrations within that. Tarot for beginners. All of these courses go for $97 individually. They all come with a companion workbook of 70 to 80 to 90 pages. And they come with videos, 10 to 16 hours or so of videos in each course to walk you through those workbooks class by class by class. And you get the access page that gives you access to all of those classes, the download links for all of the companion workbooks instantly as soon as you enroll here. Tarot for Beginners was originally a class that I taught as a weekend workshop. You go from a beginning tarot reader having no prior knowledge of the tarot to someone who can pick up and read with any deck of tarot cards that you find within the course of about 14 to 16 hours of training. You could do it over a long weekend, but with the format that you get these courses in, you have lifetime access to them, so you can go through them at your own pace. There's 14 to 16 lessons included for you to go through and play at your own pace within each of these classes. So you get instant access to these 3 full courses. You get the VIP private reading with me. You get the Mastery Circle membership all year long. And right now we're bringing the combined cost of this program down, if you added up all of the classes, all of the value of the readings you get here, and the 52 weeks of master classes. you can really expand and become an expert intuitive this year with this set of classes, courses, resources, readings, consultations. We're putting it all in here for over $1,500 off for our first 75 enrollments today, bringing the total cost of the program down to $197. If you are interested in joining the Tarot and Intuition Mastery Circle live with me for 2017, and we're actually going to give you the first couple of weeks of 2018 too. You'll be in for a full year at this cost with us. You get to enroll today for $197 as long as you see a button. If you scroll down beneath this video workshop, you should see a button that you can click on to click through and get all of the details, all of the specifics about the Tarot Mastery Circle. For those of you who are interested in learning the details of this program and potentially becoming one of the first 75 to enroll, if you want to join us this week, you can probably make it in. The button will be here until we fill, excuse me. So you can click through and learn all about that program. I've also got a 30-minute video training over there. Well, it's more of an explanation really, but you're going through the whole program, giving you a rundown of everything you need to know. And it's all spelled out there on that page for you. So I'd love to have people enroll in the Tarot Mastery Circle. Thank you so much for joining us for our full moon activation and intuitive reading for the first full moon of 2017. I appreciate all of your time and all of your energy doing this beautiful work together, and I hope to see many of you in the program. Take care now. Have a wonderful month.